everybody, I'm the best YouTuber, and I watch YouTube videos so that you don't have to. Yeah, I stole that fucking intro. What are you gonna do about it? Cry, baby? Probably nothing. Now let's get on with the review.
Hello, gotta remember it so you don't have to.
There you go. That's where I stole the intro from. Fireball, and I'm gonna drink it all the way dead. Have enough coffee, drug, or like, I just don't have enough of anything really at this point to keep this shit. Oh my god. Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at a channel that I have been watching a lot of here lately, and that is the Matt Walsh channel. Now you're going to say to yourself, but this YouTuber, what are you doing checking out Matt Walsh? He isn't a video reviewer, or video game reviewer, or a movie reviewer. He's more like a political guy. He does things like, trans women, trans men, type stuff that your channel really shouldn't be touching with a 10-foot rod. Well, let me tell you something. I've been watching this guy for quite a while now, and Matt Walsh don't play when it comes to the stuff that he likes to talk about. Because when he gets into a subject, he gets into a subject. And another thing is, when he's talking to someone and they have their point of views, he don't bend. He don't just sit there and say, well, I guess we're just going to have to agree to disagree. No, he's a lot like myself. I tell it like it is, and so does he. But only except when he tells it like it is, he really tells it like it is. And he uses logic and good talking points to get his point across. I wish I could do that. Except when I try to use logic, I can't really follow up with good talking points because I lose a lot of my words in the process. But anyway, we're going to be checking out his channel and watching a few clips. And at the end, there's going to be a very controversial clip we will get into. So, with no further ado, well, wait, no. First, let's take a look at good old Matt Walsh's channel. Where is it? There we go. As you can see here, wait a minute. Okay, so before when I was talking about all that, it wasn't actually Matt Walsh's channel. This is his actual channel. Apparently, I clicked on something that I got out of the search engine. This is Matt Walsh's official channel. So here we go. Let's look it up, what he has on here. Let's see. All right, there you go. Matt Walsh revisits his What is a Woman? Pro-trans professor asks Walsh why he cares so much. Matt Walsh challenges trans activists who can't define what is a woman. Matt Walsh revisits his interview with a trans wolf. Wolf? Is that right? I don't know. But anyway, yeah, this is his channel. I highly encourage you guys to go and check it out. I'll definitely put a link down into the description since, I am reviewing his channel. Now, with that out of the way and being said, let's watch some of his videos. Now, since I'm reviewing this, I assume it falls under the copyright. You know what I'm trying to say, right? That's right. The free copyright, whatever the hell it is, it falls under that. So, because I am reviewing the channel, and that pretty much that covers it. The hell am I trying to think of? Boy, my brain sure has turned into mush today. I would not be very good at debating Matt Walsh, would I? I wouldn't even be good at debating a potato at this moment. Anyway, let's play a clip from one of his videos. Here we go.
We're still playing offense here in Tennessee. I've already told you about the bill filed this week, the very first piece of legislation in the session, Bill 1, which will ban so-called gender affirmation, quote unquote, procedures on minors. And the media has lamented that our bill is among the strictest in the nation. And I will proudly admit that we are guilty as charged as far as that goes. Our legislation not only bans the medical abuse of gender confused minors, but it also empowers the victims to sue those who are responsible for it. And what I believe this is an unprecedented step. The victims of this butchery will even be given the right to sue their parents. After all, parents who bring their children to doctors to be sterilized and castrated and butchered are the...
Now, I don't understand what's going on with parents today. I mean, you know, yeah, I get that you're supposed to be supportive and nourishing and loving of your children. But when a child sit there and they say, like, let's say, for an example, a little boy wants to walk around in a ballerina dress or like a princess dress or whatever, and then the parent is going to look at him and automatically assume, oh, well, I guess he wants to be a girl. Well, he's going to be a girl whether he likes it or not. I mean, rather, she likes it or not. Now, I think part of the problem is that it's one of those things where they either wanted a boy or a girl, and so they couldn't have a boy. Like if they had a boy and they wanted a girl, they couldn't have a girl, so they created themselves one. And this is sort of a loophole. This whole society agreeing that the kids can, as young as 5 years old, could make the decision whether they're a boy or girl or not. That whole loophole thing now has these delusional parents to the point where they're like, oh, well, here, you know, he's putting a dress on. You see that right there? That means he wants to be a girl. The whole problem with that is, yeah, he may be putting on a dress right now and like walking around in pretend land, but then, you know, 2 weeks from now, he's going to be putting on a Superman cape and boots on and jumping off the front porch. I mean, kids go through phases. That's what they do. They don't want to be a boy or girl or Superman or, you know, the week after that, they might put on a fireman's uniform or a policeman's uniform. Does that mean you're going to send them to boot camp to become a police officer? No. That's ridiculous. Just the whole idea that a kid as young as 5 years old knows what their sexuality is going to be. They don't even know what the hell sex even is, let alone what a sexuality is just ridiculous. I mean, I don't know. But anyway, boy, I really went on a small tangent there, didn't I? Here's some more Matt Walsh. Listen to this bill. This bill is basically protecting children. It's protecting them from these wacky ass parents who, you know, want to take them to drag queen shows and whatnot and expose them to all of this stuff. Well, I'm not going to talk about it. I'll let Matt Walsh do the talking. Just watch. Matt Walsh.
The primary villains here, even more than the doctors, I would say. I mean, the doctor is a mercenary fraud, hurting children for profit, betraying his oath to do no harm. It's hard to get lower than that, but the parents somehow succeed as they are bound by an oath before God to love and protect their children. Whether they have said such an oath out loud or not, they are bound by it from the moment that their children are conceived. And those parents who fail to live up to it will pay the price, as well they should. But child abuse comes in many and diverse and deranged forms these days, and our goal must be to root it out, expose it, punish it in every form. And that brings us to Bill 3 of the legislative session, just filed by Tennessee Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson, also one of the principal architects of our
Sorry, I had to laugh there when he said Jack Johnson because it reminds me of, the old timey fighters that say, "I'll give you a rap right on your Jack Johnson." Just saying. Plus, Jack Johnson. Anyway,
anti-mutilation bill. Bill 3 will ban and criminalize any drag performance involving children. The Hill reports, quote, Tennessee Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson, a Republican, has introduced legislation to prohibit drag entertainers from performing on public property or at private functions where their performance may be viewed by a minor. Johnson's bill would amend a state law preventing adult-oriented businesses like strip clubs from operating within 1,000 feet of schools, public parks, or places of worship to include adult cabaret performances, including those of exotic dancers and male.
you see, here's the thing about that also. Any other performance or like pole dancers or strippers or whatever, like, all that stuff is for people over the age of 18 for a fucking reason. And any reasonable human being would not let children into those strip clubs for obvious reasons because it's all adult stuff. Now, if I or some other straight person were to bring a child into a straight strip club or whatever, we would be arrested. We would be thrown in jail. We would be whatever the case may be. We would be frowned upon in society. But somehow society thinks that all of this bringing children to trans shows, which really in reality is no different than strip club performances. They do all of that and a whole lot more from what I hear. But anyway, I'm only speculating because I've never really been the one, but from what I hear and have seen videos and stuff of that, there's a lot of shit that goes on there. But anyway, somehow society is totally fine with children as old as 5 years old going to drag shows. And then finally, we have someone here with some goddamn common sense, Jack Johnson, pushing for these kind of laws to come into play. Man, I got to tell you people, I'm going to go on a lot of rants during this video.
Or female impersonators. Johnson told WKRN TV in Nashville this week that the bill is designed to prevent drag shows that are sexual in nature from being performed in places where children may be present. Should the bill advance through Tennessee's Republican-controlled legislature and receive the approval of Governor Bill Lee, both of which things I think certainly will happen. First time offense.
Now, I will say this. They said sexual in nature. Are there drag shows where the men just dress up in drag and just walk around on the stage like a model performance, like it would be like if you were a model and you were showing off clothes? I don't know. I guess that's possible. But from what I hear, that's not exactly what's going on. So I don't know. Would that then make it okay if that was the case? It's hard to say. I mean, just forcing them to do anything of any kind of nature, like anything really, is just wrong to me in the first place. But I don't know.
Offenders would be guilty of a Class A misdemeanor punishable by jail time of up to a year and a fine of $2,500. Repeat offenders would be charged with a Class E felony, which carries a prison sentence of up to 6 years and fines totaling up to $3,000. So we have the anti-mutilation bill. This now is the anti-groomer bill. And predictably, the groomers are not happy about it. Our local news channel 5 interviewed some in the latter group, the groomers who are upset, to get their reaction. And let's see some of that.
Let's watch this.
This bill would also ban drag shows where children may be present.
It's extremely
hurtful.
Matt puts on pageants for
Hurtful.
male impersonators and divas. And she's the Nashville Pride president.
It would devastate our Pride parade, our Pride festival.
Why?
According to State Senator Jack Johnson, there were inappropriate performances in public which sparked the bill.
It is illegal to take your child to a strip club.
There you
Yeah,
go. Hey, he's making my point for me. Why did I even go through all that?
Allow a drag show that has blatantly explicit sexual activity taking place in a public park where kids are present. No, we're going to stop that.
We also talked to Chris Sanders at the Tennessee Equality Project. He says it's frustrating that the first two bills introduced for this legislative season target them.
Merely dressing in the clothing of a different gender is not something that should be regulated ever. Not in our American tradition, not according to our Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and not according.
That's not what they're going for, though. We don't care. I mean, you know, if you want to put on a dress and parade up and down the sidewalk, or, you know, hell, have an entire show devoted to that sort of thing, then that's your business. But if you're doing inappropriate sexual nature type shit in there, just very much like a strip club would be, then that's what we have a problem with. And not even that. I mean, if you're a consenting adult and you want to go see that sort of thing, or if you want to participate in that sort of thing, then it's perfectly fine, perfectly legal. We don't have a problem with that. It's the fact that you're pushing this on children. Children! Let me mind you, as young as the ages of 5 and 6, 7, 8 years old. I need a Xanax.
According to common sense.
If drag kings and queens perform in public, they could be charged with a misdemeanor. And the second offense is a felony.
It's just not right. It's not our American tradition to stifle expression.
Rebecca
That's
Bill's
not what they're
freedom of
doing.
Speech and expression should be protected.
The
It
word
is
very violent to trans people, and it's dangerous, and it's homophobic.
What?
And I think that there's a very slippery slope.
Let's see what Matt Walsh has to say about this. But they're trying to argue that we're saying that they're not going to be allowed to perform at all, and that's not what we're saying. We're saying we're not going to be allowing them to perform in places where there are children present. That's all. That's it. Do it behind closed doors. Dumbasses.
Slippery slope. Yes. Watch out for that slippery slope, folks. First, you tell adults they can't perform in burlesque for children. And the next thing you know, chaos has ensued. And by chaos, we mean that children are given the basic protections they need and deserve. This is what counts as chaos in the minds of the groomers. Indeed, it is homophobic, she says, because apparently in her mind, sexual performances for children are a fundamental and inextricable part of gay culture. That is her claim, evidently. That's what she is saying. There's a reason why these people panic over the possibility that they may not be able to sexualize children anymore. For one thing, they get a thrill out of doing so. They derive sick satisfaction from it. And they're upset that that this favorite pastime of theirs will now be taken away. But they also realize that their ideological project, their cultural agenda, depends on destroying childhood innocence as quickly and efficiently as possible.
Well, there you go. I mean, that pretty much does it for that video. We're not going to stay with one video for too long, but you get the general idea. Now here, I will show you a few clips of Matt Walsh's documentary, What is a Woman? And he has an interview with this Dr. Forcier. Yeah, she's forcing her ideology on a lot of people, let me tell you. But anyway, here he is getting to know the thing, woman, it, her, them, they, whatever. Check it out.
my name is Michelle Forcier, and I have a medical degree from University of Connecticut, residency, University of Utah Pediatrics, and I've worked for a number of different Planned Parenthoods for 20 years. I do advanced contraception and abortion, as well as gender hormones, and sort of looking at the whole sort of schema of gender, sex, and reproductive justice.
So you've done a lot of work in this field. Could you just start by telling us?
Sure.
At what age can a child first?
This is kind of scary when you have professionals with this sort of that hold these ideologies. I mean, gee whiz, she is an actual medical doctor and a pediatry, whatever. I can't talk today, so let's let Mr. Matt Walsh do the talking for me. Fuck!
Begin to transition into another gender or identify themselves as a gender different from how they were born.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's research and data that show that babies and infants understand differences in gender.
What?
Some children figure.
Hold on. Babies and infants understand sex and genders. Did I hear that right? Babies and infants can't even talk. They can't even crawl. They can't even do anything. The only thing they understand is that they're hungry or they're tired or that they just pooped their diaper. I mean, they don't. This lady has a PhD.
Out their gender really early. And the reason why we are say, oh, that's interesting or important is because they're figuring out their gender identity is not necessarily congruent with their sex assigned at birth.
When the doctor sees the penis and says this is a male, has the sex of male, that's an arbitrary distinction.
Telling that family, based on that little penis, that your child is absolutely 100% male identified, no matter what else occurs in their life.
Male identified.
That's not correct.
So it has nothing to do with biology. It's identified. Oh, God.
So what does gender affirmation care? You're a big proponent of. If we walk through, a child is sitting down with you, is questioning their gender. What's the gender affirmation process?
Affirmation means that as a pediatrician, as someone who says my job is to provide the best medical care for you, is I need to listen really carefully. And how I put it in words for kids so that they can understand it is, tell me your story. Where have you been in terms of your gender and your gender identity? Where are you right now? And more excitingly, where would you like to be in the future?
Have you ever met a 4-year-old who believes in Santa Claus?
Mm-hmm.
So this is someone who believes that a fat man is traveling through the sky on a flying reindeer at lightning speed, coming down his chimney with presents.
Yeah.
Would you say that this is someone who maybe has a tenuous grasp on reality?
They have an appropriate 4-year-old handle on the reality.
Agreed.
That's very real for them.
Agreed. But Santa Claus is real for them, but Santa Claus is not actually real.
Yeah, well, but Santa Claus does deliver their Christmas presents.
Well, yeah, but he's not real, though.
To that child, they are.
When I see a child who, believes in Santa Claus, and then let's say this is a boy and he says, I'm a girl.
Mm-hmm.
This is someone who can't distinguish between fantasy and reality, so.
Yeah, that is a really good point. Just like I said earlier on about playing dress up and then all of a sudden, oh, yeah, they want to be a female, or oh, yeah, they want to be a male. Let's go on.
How could you take that as a reality?
I would say that as a pediatrician and as a parent, I would say how
she's a
wonderful
parent
my 4-year-old and their imagination is.
One of the hardest things as we did this film, especially in interviewing somebody like that, is not like my instinct just to yell at them to begin with.
Yeah.
But that's not what
So this is a clip of Matt Walsh when he was on Dr. Phil. And I think we're just going to go ahead and let it play through. I mean, it is only 2 minutes and 21 seconds long. So I don't know. Let's roll that beautiful beam footage.
Well, this is one of the problems with this left-wing gender ideology is that no one who espouses it can even tell you what these words mean. It's like, what is a woman?
Well,
can you tell me what a woman is?
No, I can't. Because it's not for me to say. Womanhood looks different for everybody.
What do you define a woman as?
An adult human female.
And what does a female mean?
Well,
how
that's
do you define a female?
someone with female reproductive organs.
Okay.
Someone who's, here's the thing: when you're female, it goes right down to your bones, your DNA. So that's why if someone dies, we could dig up their bones 100 years from now. We have no idea what they believed in their head, but we can tell what sex they were because it's ingrained in every fiber of their being.
Interesting. So I'm trying to understand.
So he breaks it down perfectly right there. Is that male and female are male and female, and when you look at skeletons, like he says, 100 years from now, if a what do they call those things that Indiana Jones was? Man, I really can't think today. But yeah, they look at their bones. They can tell what a female was and what a male was just simply by looking at the bones. They're not going to look at your bones and go, it looks like this skeleton identified as a female. Interesting. No, your bones tell you, your DNA tells you what you are. Your structure tells you, the hips and the skeleton structure tells you what's a man, what's a woman. So yeah, he breaks it down very nicely here. And some of the other things he says here keeps his opponent speechless. Check it out.
Your definition is that a woman is someone who is female, you said, right?
Correct. Is a biological female.
So what happens
biological.
When you have maybe someone who is female, identifies as a woman, right? Cisgender woman, right? As you just explained, maybe doesn't have the ability to reproduce. Maybe doesn't have those organs that you're talking about that are reproductive organs.
I have answered the question. You stood up here and said trans women are women.
Yes.
Tell me what you mean. What is a woman?
Womanhood is something that, just as Ethan explained, I cannot define because I am not myself.
You used the word. So what did you mean when you said trans women are women if you don't know what it means?
Right. So here's the thing. So I do not define what a woman is because I do not identify as a woman. Womanhood is something that is an umbrella term. It includes
umbrella term.
That describes what?
People who identify as a woman.
Identify as what?
As a woman.
What is that?
Was to each their own. Each man, each person is going to have a different relation with their own gender identity and define it differently. And so trans women are women too.
Listen to the audience clap for that shit.
And you want to reduce women, you want to reduce men down to maybe just their genetics, our genitals, our chromosomes, right? That's what you're saying.
You want to do is
that's what
they act like he just did an ultimate mic drop moment there, but he didn't. Because, or she, I'm sorry, he, she, whatever, it, has no idea, cannot say definitively what a woman is. So they never did answer that question.
But what you want to do is appropriate women. You want to appropriate womanhood.
Okay.
And turn it into basically a costume that can be worn. We've got it's real funny. It's real funny. It's real funny when you're
right. As a man, you're literally saying this is what a woman is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I define it.
Well,
I am willing to define it, but you won't.
He got the mic drop moment there, I would say, more or less. But anyway, now that you've seen a few clips of Matt Walsh's videos of things that I do agree with, you're going to see one clip of something that I don't necessarily disagree with, but I'm on the fence with. And I almost often wonder, why was this even brought up? Why is this even a thing? It doesn't make sense. But here is a clip of Matt Walsh on the Joe Rogan show talking about gay marriage. And basically him and Joe Rogan get into a debate. And what I'm going to do now this time is, excuse me, what I'm going to do now this time is, in fact, review it and look at it. You know what I mean. react to it. Yeah, it's going to be my reaction to this clip. This is the video of Joe and Matt Walsh. Well, Joe's not named Walsh. Joe Rogan and Matt Walsh disagreeing over gay marriage. So let's just take a look.
Is a certain thing. But what if they don't want to? Are you opposed to them being married? If marriage is only for procreation and to bond a family together, what about people that are deeply in love that never want to have children?
I don't think it's not only procreation, but that is one of the.
I think he's overlooking some of the basic fundamentals of marriage, and Matt's about to bring up the point that it's a man-made. Joe's about to bring up the point that it's a man-made institution, but they're kind of overlooking the biblical point of marriage, and that is for a man and a woman to combine a union, as he talks about a family unit, the nuclear family, which I am all for the family unit. But I do see Joe Rogan's point as well, is that, you get married to someone, you may not be able to have kids, or maybe you've already got kids in a previous marriage, or maybe, well, that would make sense because they're talking about being married for the first time, I guess, but maybe you have kids before you got married and never been married, and just, or like I said, maybe you can't have kids or simply just don't want kids, and you guys love each other so much that you want that bond, and it's a religious bond, and a lot of people do that as a religious bond, under the eyes of God, so that you are not living in sin when you live together and have sexual relations.
Choice. I mean, you can have a very fulfilling life if you just follow your pursuits and your dreams and your interests, and you find someone that shares those.
I do agree with Joe Rogan on a lot of stuff that he's saying here. I do. You fall in love with somebody, you want to commit, you want to have that loving bond with them, you want to share your life with them, you want to share the income, you want to produce a loving home and whatever, and not necessarily have kids to do it. I mean, and that's the thing about Matt Walsh also, is, like I said earlier on in this video, is that he doesn't bend either way. Once he has his mindset on an ideology, that is what his ideology is, and it's not none of this, oh, well, I guess you're right, or let's agree to disagree. No, he really stays on that one subject and just really goes for it. It's rooted deep into his ideology, and he's not swaying either way just to please the other person. He's not a people pleaser, and that's the one things I find fascinating about him.
Interest with you, and you share time together. It's very fulfilling and loving.
Yeah, it's a personal choice, in that I'm not advocating for like a law that says that you if you're married you have to have X number of kids.
But then why are you opposed to two gay people doing that?
Well, because again, it's not about choice. It's about what this institution, marriage is an institution, and what is it, and what purpose does it serve? And I do not agree with tearing down or changing this definition, especially because the people who have changed the definition haven't come up with a new one. So they say, well, that's not what marriage is. So for thousands of years, we said marriage is the procreative union. And then we had the other side that came along and said, well, it's not that. Okay, well then, like, what is it exactly? And I know you said, well, it's people who love each other. Two people love each other. Well, but then why two people? Why do they have to love each other? All these kinds of questions. And you get into what if they're in the same.
Joe Walsh raises a pretty good point there. The definition of marriage has really changed throughout history. And again, like I said at the beginning of this, the whole religious thing, if you throw that into the box, into the mix, then it really is, if you look at it in terms of that. then it really does say, it's a union between a man and a woman, and not a union between a man and a man, or a woman and a woman, or a man and his pet goat, or anything like that, but a man and a woman. So I don't know. I'm a little complex on the whole thing myself, and I know it is a touchy subject, and I'm really not, inclined or smart enough to really come up with some of the things these guys are coming up with. But yeah, Matt Walsh does come up with some good talking points here.
Same family. What if brothers and sisters want to marry? And I know every time that comes up, the advocates for gay marriage will say, well, that's a slippery slope argument. That's a fallacious. But it's actually not. It's like we're trying to get to what do you even think this institution is now, since you've rejected out what we were saying it was. And I've never found a compelling definition.
And if anything would damage marriage and damage the institution of marriage, is the option of divorce. I don't think gay people and gay people getting married in any way, shape, or form changes a bond that you have with your wife. It's just called marriage. It's a human invented thing.
Now, here's where I should have actually started the video of him talking about it's a human invented thing. Now, here's where Joe Walsh comes back with a pretty good point.
If we decide that gay people can get married too, I just don't see how it damages anything. I don't think it tears down the definition of marriage in any way. It just opens up the possibility that people who are gay won't be discriminated against.
Yeah, I don't think that a gay couple existing directly impacts. There's a gay couple in wherever, and I'm with my wife in our house. Like obviously,
Right.
there's not. But I'm not talking about on the individual level. I'm talking about on the societal level.
Right.
I would agree that divorce, especially this no-fault divorce, rampant divorce. I don't think it's as high as 50%. I know that's often quoted. I'm not sure where that comes from, but it is high. It's too high. And
Chris Rock has a great joke about that. He said those are just the people with the courage to get out. It's like how many cowards stay.
But it's also true that the advocates for what we call now traditional marriage, which I just call marriage, but the advocates for traditional marriage put themselves at a disadvantage by especially in the churches, allowing this rampant divorce to occur. And then you've already sort of given up on some marriage is supposed to be monogamous and permanent, as well as procreative. Well, you've given up monogamy and permanence, and so now it's not. That's two of the three legs gone.
Yeah.
And so now this assault was waged on the procreative part of it, and it was difficult to withstand it because the institution had already been weakened. So I agree with you there. But my answer to that is to try to reinforce what marriage is, not to just give up on it entirely. And I still think you're left with this question of if marriage is not what I'm saying it is, then why do we even need it? What's the point? I mean, you're saying it's a man-made institution.
Yes.
But you're also,
because it is 14 minutes long and whatnot. And plus, if I play it the whole video, pretty sure I'll get a copyright strike. So what I'm going to do is I will send a link down in the description to his channel in general. And you can watch this entire interview. And I think this is the entire interview. You can check it out yourself. You can decide for yourself. You can debate it amongst yourselves. I don't know. But anyway, that is Matt Walsh. Is a good channel. I highly recommend it. But there is one thing that really bugs me, though, about his channel. And he really needs to look into this. And I know he gets millions of comments, on each one of his videos and whatnot. But this is really bugging the hell out of me, is that every time and I think it gets by him or by whoever checks his comment section, because I know it's not him personally. By the way, okay, so you can't even see it right here, but basically it says, text me on Instagram, official Sandy Sheepman Shaw, whatever the fuck his name is. Congratulations, lucky winner. Now, this has changed because this guy was leaving comments on the Matt Walsh channel disguising himself as Matt Walsh. And that's what I wanted to show you. But when I go to click on the comment, it doesn't show Matt Walsh anymore. But check this out. He's got the Matt Walsh. It says official Matt Walsh replied. You could see that. Wait, or can you? Yeah. You see? Well, you probably can't see it, but it does definitely say that. But then, God dang, official Matt Walsh replied. And it says, text me on Telegram. Congratulations, lucky winner. But when you click on it, it takes you to this asshole. And when you go to this asshole and you click on his channel, you can see all the comments that this guy has left. Now, I'm exposing this guy simply because he needs to be exposed. So, Matt Walsh needs to be, let's see, made aware of this bum. Anyway, that pretty much does it for this video. Now, I'll say this. Matt Walsh isn't an asshole, but there are some assholes out there, like that guy we just saw, going around parading themselves as Matt Walsh, and then all of a sudden when you click on him, he's not Matt Walsh. So with that being said, not everyone is an asshole, but everyone has an asshole, and you know what the fuck comes out of them. So just remember, until next time, if you have a gender identity crisis, well, I suggest you go down to the Gender Identity Crisis Center right away, drop your pants, go look in the mirror, and fondle your fucking balls. Huh? Wait, what's that? What do you mean that's not how that works? Why didn't somebody tell me? I would have known if I was a boy or girl. Hey everybody, Bash YouTuber here, reminding you to smash that like button. I would tell you to smash the dislike button, but there is no dislike button anymore. Anyway, if you like what you see, please remember to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.